this live again. I was trying to go on a coffee run and thought I'd chat with you guys real quick about athlete mindset. And I know my friend Brianna Battles, she talks about this a lot and the challenges that moms face when they're trying to get back to workouts, whether it be, CrossFit, gym, HIIT, running, you name it. It's a challenge when your mind is ready to do one thing and your body is not. So real life story here. Friday, I think in the middle of a workout, I re-injured an issue that I have with my upper neck. And I'm familiar with it. I've treated it off and on myself probably the last 10 or 15 years. I haven't had a flare in a really long time. Hey Jess, how are you? And I didn't see it coming, although I've been stressed lately and sitting at the computer a lot, COVID. And so I tweaked it in the middle of, in the very, very beginning of the workout. And I'm thinking, okay, do I just lay down and be done here? And it was a sharp pain. It was no joke, but hanging from a bar was not a good idea. So I'm like, all right, let me scale what I can. And literally there was a back and forth in my head. I'm like, should I continue? Should I not? And fortunately, I'm very well versed in scaling and was able to come up with an appropriate scaled response. But it was one of those things where I'm like, all right, let me just do what I can. And it kind of went back and forth over the weekend. And it was bad enough yesterday morning. I didn't go for a run and just got some sleep. Thought maybe that would help. Got up this morning, thought I would go to the gym. And of course, it's wall balls, right? So, of course, neck extension was the thing that was not going well. So throwing a ball up repeatedly did not seem like a great idea. And I think there was some push jerks and a couple other things too. And I literally, for a half a second, I was like, I'm just not going to go this morning, right? And I'm like, no, I can scale these pieces. And I think it's one of those things that with athlete mindset, if you're just like, oh, if I'm freaked out by wall balls, if I'm freaked out by something, I just can't do that at all. Or I can go all out. The extremes are never safe places to be. Fortunately with CrossFit, because I came to CrossFit after having babies, I'm always on the gun shy side of things. I will never force through. Whereas running is a completely different story. But it was one of those things at first I was like, well, I'm just not going to do wall balls. I will find something else to replace it with. And then as I was kind of going through the workout, I'm like, you know what, maybe I'll just do the lighter one. I won't do the 14, I'll do 10 and see how that goes. And slow my pace down and work on my squat depth, which I usually don't do. And I was like, you know what, I can do parts and pieces of this. Was it perfect and sexy and as gorgeous as it was for a lot of the other girls that I work out with? Absolutely not, but it's usually not anyways. But it's just one of those things that I was very conscious, even now, about, do you say something to somebody that you're injured? If you tell them, what will they know what to do? And that's with a neck injury. So think about pelvic floor. And there's a girl that I work out with in the morning and she's pregnant and I've been watching her and she's been doing a fantastic job, trying to work through and scale and whatnot. But I think that's one of the biggest things to start with is, one, do you say something? Two, does the person that you're talking to actually know how to scale you appropriately, which is why we need more postpartum coaches and trainers, by the way. And then three, if you're not comfortable asking somebody else, are you familiar, are you okay enough to scale yourself? And is it the right kind of scale? Are you doing enough? Or maybe is even that a little bit too much? And how do you make those decisions? And I think that's one of the hardest things to kind of navigate. And it doesn't really go away. And I guess my point is this, that you got to take it by situation basis. Again, here was a situation. I know very well what's going on in my neck. I know what I can and can't do. I made the decision that it wasn't enough that I needed to ask for scale. I knew the scaling options, but I wavered. I'm like, should I do this at all? Should I do the whole thing? And it's trying to find that sweet spot in the middle. And it's hard. And I know what I'm doing. So it goes to say, as long as you can recognize that mindset can play a role. So in the context of running, you just want to go out and get a sanity run, but you know that at mile 2, you're going to leak, wanting to blast through that and just get it done. I get it. I understand it, but we're trying to play the long game here. How could you scale that so you could still get 3 miles and not blow out your pelvic floor when you know you have issues at 2? Could you break it up into shorter bouts? Like little things like that. And I think if you're in coaching, if you're in training, it's hard enough to do it for yourself, which is why I think it's so much easier if this is not your jam, if you don't know how to scale, if you don't know what options there are. It's so incredibly important to ask for help. And in the context, and this is totally where postpartum coaches and trainers come up so big, and pregnancy ones too, like come up so big to help you scale and understand. You can't make the assumption that just because they're a running coach or a CrossFit coach that they know how to scale you in pregnancy and postpartum. You can't make that leap. There is some specialty, there is some additional understanding. Same thing with running. So I guess my point is this. One is, don't feel bad if you've got that athlete mindset. It's not necessarily a bad thing. You just got to know that it's there and know how to deal with it. And then the second thing is, if you don't know how to scale yourself, ask for help. But it's definitely not a situation where it's all or nothing. There are definitely some gray spots in between, and getting comfortable knowing that it's not permanent, knowing that it's not long-term, that you've got to do these modified options. I think that's the important thing, because if you blow it out again, then you're right back to square one. So if we're playing the long game, get help, get those scaled options, build yourself back up, and then you're going to be far better in the long run. So all right, if you have any questions for me about scaling options or challenges that you've had with mindset and athlete mindset in particular, hit me up in my DMs for sure. Yes, I am still working on my neck. Stay tuned. Hopefully I'll be fine later on this week. But yeah, hit me up in my DMs. And then also, if you are a postpartum coach, trainer that works with runners, or if you're a physician, in my stories, I have a link. Shefali Christopher is a physio researcher at Elon University, and they are they're looking at a survey for providers, and they need more coaches, trainers, and MDs. So if that describes you, definitely hop over into my stories and grab that link and fill out that survey. It takes literally about 2 minutes. So, all right, thanks. Have a good one. Bye.